Hey guys, Martinkin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're going to be taking a look at the EZA for the physical Buutenks. This is another unit that's needed an EZA for a long time, and honestly was one that I was looking forward to. And then when his details all came out, I saw a lot of people saying that he was bad, that he was the worst one out of the group of EZAs. And then when I read his kit, I didn't think it was necessarily terrible, but obviously we are going to jump in and see how we get on. So I haven't done anything with his build since pre-EZA, so he's got 8 additional, 12 crit and 6 dodge. His super attack is greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, so 50% raise, supreme damage and seals super attacks, which can still be relevant in some phases of some of these events. He gives super class enemies a passive debuff of attack 30% and defense 60%, which again can be very useful in some of these events where you can lower attack. Key 1, attack and defense 100%. Then he gets an additional attack and defense 150% when performing a super. So he gets a lot of extra stats on super, meaning he's not going to be very good in slot 1. He gets an additional 2 key, attack and defense 100% and reduces damage received by 30% when all allies attacking in the same turn are Majin Buu Saga characters. Then he gets a crit when the target enemy is attack down or defense down. So he is going to be getting that buff with the extra stats. It's a bit crazy though, I guess 100%, he's still only at 189k with getting that extra 100% from having the full Buu Saga rotation. But you have to remember that he is going to get an extra 150% on super attack. So he's going to get an extra, like, what, 200 and something k, 280k, something like that on super. Which is basically going to then mean post super he's at like 475. Then he has the 50% raise from his actual super as well, so he's well over 500k, close to 600 or even over 600k with 30% damage reduction, which isn't terrible, especially in some of these events where he's going to be able to attack lower. You can be sealed, so let's actually try and seal you. So we'll just do this. Oh, you're going to get hit first, so he's going to get the AoE anyway. Unfortunately, no linking with the LR Buutenks, at least until we've transformed, but we'll go ahead and do this, and then, yeah, we'll see what kind of attack stat we get here on the first turn. Hopefully the Super Buu doesn't just kill both of these guys, because if he crits, he absolutely can just kill both of these dudes on the first turn. We've got no extra support, but yeah, 20 million attack stat for him. Okay, good. No crit on Yamu. That's what we want, because then we take you out. Oh, he didn't quite take him out. Okay. So let's see. Buutenks, what we got for the first super here? 8.1 million. I mean, that's okay. Of course, he doesn't have any sort of built-in additional or anything like that. We get the seal, and then, yeah, we're going to take double digits from the normal. That's to be expected. And then 5.2 for you. So, I mean, 8 million, that's okay. I think of this Buutenks in the similar way to what I was talking about with the STR Fat Buu in his video, where he's probably going to be a unit that you're adding him onto this Buu team as the final option for the team, right? Because a lot of people, like myself, I didn't pull the Tech Evil Buu, so that's one unit I'm missing from the potential ideal setup for the Fat Buu, like full Buu team. I do like running Tech Gohan on this team as well. He actually is pretty effective on this setup, so we're going to go ahead and do this. He's going to get his couple of stacks in here, and then we can move on to the next phase and get our next turn with Buutenks and see how he gets on. Gohan most likely is going to kill this guy here and then get an additional and kill the other guy, so at least we do get the 2 stacks. There's a random normal in between, but yeah, essentially that's how that goes. So you take you out, couple of stacks for you, and then move on to back to the Buutenks rotation. So in terms of linking with Super Buu, we had what? These were the same links we would have had last turn. We had Margin, Metamorphosis, and Fierce Battle. And then we do get the Wall Standing Tool from you as well. So if we do this, pretty good turn. Now, as long as we don't get immediately supered, you should be fine. You can be sealed. So let's go ahead and attack you, seal you, and then I guess we can just let Super Buu get the AoE at the end of the turn. See how we go here. This is my 55% Buu, so yeah, he's going to take a bit of damage from those first couple of hits. I mean, it would have been ideal for him to get supered and just revive, to be honest, but we'll happily go from here. So wall standing tall is an attack link, so that's going to give Buutenks a little bit of extra attack here. I wonder if we can get to 9 mil without any support. Now the thing is, I mentioned this in the STR Buu showcase as well, but next week we are going to get physical Kid Buu's super EZA. So that's going to be a massive buff to all of these guys, right? So 9.8 is pretty good for him. He seals up the enemy, and then, yeah, we're rocking around 600k defense with 30% damage reduction. So, of course, he's going to tank basically all normals on global post-super, which is good. Because this is the thing, like, rating some of these EZAs and releases from the Golden Week celebration as a JP player will probably be quite different. Whereas for a global player, a lot of these guys fit into this weird sort of middle ground, like this Buutenks, where he's going to tank all normals on global. But then once we get to like the anniversary content, when that starts coming out, there's going to be certain events and certain bosses where he isn't going to be tanking normals. And especially, of course, being a physical enemy, we have events like the Blue Gogeta, who's one of the harder hitting bosses in the game from the anniversary content, and he's STR. So obviously that's going to be very unfortunate for this guy. Now, that STR Gogeta can be attack lowered, and Buutenks does attack lower just from his passive. And those passive attack lowers are very effective. And of course he then gets guaranteed crits if the enemy's attack lowered as well. So it can work out quite nicely for him. But obviously he gets all of his stats on super, so he's wanting to be a slot 2 unit. So we've got the 3 links active here. Let's go for... Neither of these guys can be sealed, can they? So we're just going to have to do what we can to see if we can get rid of you. I suppose we'll go for you, actually, since you've got the type disadvantage against Dabura. He can't be attack lowered, which means we won't get the guaranteed crit against him. So we'll just have to do this and see how we get on. But yeah, I mean, Buutenks, he seems okay. I'm trying to think about how I would compare him to that STR Fat Buu, because with the good orb change turn, that STR Fat Buu can be really good. But then with a bad orb change turn, he's absolutely terrible. So obviously where you would compare him to this Buutenks, it just kind of depends on the orb RNG that you get for the STR Buu. Because the STR Buu can get a lot of extra damage reduction as well if he's getting the extra orbs. This guy has 30% as long as he has a full Buu Saga rotation, which is good. And of course, if he gets an additional super, he's going to be well over 700k defense while still having the 30% damage reduction. So, I mean, he should tank this super relatively well here. Yeah, double digits. So, I mean, he's not going to be tanking the big boss supers, but when it comes to, as I said before, if you just want an extra option to throw on the team to finish rounding out like the Buu team, then I think he could be a solid option, and you're not relying on orb changing. And even though it's only 1 key, which is random, him giving himself a little bit of key is helpful because it does make it easier to actually get the super attacks, right? So helps out not just him but everyone around him with how you are then able to distribute the orbs for the whole rotation. So that's quite nice. I think we go ahead and do this, and then yeah, just get the AoE here with Super Buu. Take Gohan, whilst very much out of place in terms of being the only non-Majin Buu character, still works very, very well on this team. He only shares Fierce Battle and Revival with Fat Buu, so he doesn't have Cold Judgment or All in the Family, but as long as you're getting these additional supers, he's obviously not going to look as good as he does on some other teams, but he does get the 200% leader skill from Fat Buu. And then, of course, if we get turns like this, where he just goes off and does all these additional supers, he's still going to be looking very, very good. Yeah, look, was that the quad super turn? I think it was, right? So Gohan still able to be a beast on this team. I think in terms of, I think I've said before in a previous video, but if I was going to make Buu's team for like the new event, I should do a video of Buu's team versus the Buuhan stage. If I was going to do like what is my best build for this Buu team, I probably would put Tech Gohan on there. Just because he's a lot more reliable than some of these other Buu characters. And again, with me not having pulled Tech Evil Buu, that's one less character from some of the lineups that other people might be running that I don't have to use. So yeah, Tech Gohan definitely fits very well on this team. But yeah, Buutenks, back to this phase. So can we, I guess if we transform with you, that would actually be quite helpful as well, wouldn't it? So let's go ahead and transform with you. In fact, because this Buutenks doesn't need to be hit or anything, the fact that we can use the active skill on this turn is actually very good as well for the Fat Buu. Because we don't have to worry about getting immediately killed. Because, I mean, the physical boss type disadvantage, if he supers in slot 1, probably just kills Fat Buu. And then we don't get to see you attack. So we'll go ahead and do this. Turn him into Cookie here. Grab our orbs for you. And then, yeah, we've got our 4 links active. Margin, Metamorphosis, Wall Standing Tool, Fierce Battle. It's weird he has Over in a Flash. There are very, very few extreme characters that have Over in a Flash. So it's always an odd choice when we have characters that get it. But I guess it is what it is. So, yeah, relatively decent in terms of overall performance. I wouldn't say he's anything too crazy, right? Like, without support, we're not getting to a 10 million attack stat unless we do an additional super. And then our defense is somewhere around 600k with 30% damage reduction, which is fine for all normals, essentially. But obviously, when it comes to taking the big supers, it's not going to be great. If he had a bit of support in his passive, then I think you could very much consider him a solid option for running as a slot 3 floater for this team. But obviously, if you are putting him on as the last addition, like you've got your 5 other units, you don't know who else to bring, so you throw this guy on there. Like, he'll still be okay as long as he's not, you know, you don't get those unfortunate situations where the slot 3 unit is the one eating the super. But he'll do relatively well. He's just not providing a lot to the team outside of a little bit of extra damage. The passive attack lowering will be good in events where that is actually possible to do. So that is something that will be worthwhile taking advantage of. I think one of the events from the anniversary is the versus the blue Kaioken Goku, which is one of those ones like the Vegito Blue stage from the Worldwide, where it's only one phase. He just has one big HP bar, but he can be attack lowered. So by having type advantage and being able to attack lower him from the passive, this Buutenks will probably be really good in that event. Because, of course, the Buu team, all these Golden Week buffs, these teams are going to be really, really good for global players for when it comes to the anniversary content. Having all these units that JP didn't have at the time of the anniversary, obviously going to make some of these events a lot easier. But yeah, this Buutenks will be very good for that. So any stages where the enemy can be attack lowered, he'll be kind of useful. It will be tricky with the Gogeta though, because he's STR. So, I mean, he'll be able to eat the normals and the AoEs after a decent amount of attack lowering has been applied, because he's got that 30% damage reduction. But then I suppose for Gogeta, if the AoE is before Buutenks supers, his defense is quite low. So it's definitely going to be tricky. So, because of course, you know, type disadvantage, never usually the ideal scenario. So I could see him being useful in some instances. And as I say, as kind of like the final addition for a Buu team. But he's definitely not like a must-run unit or anything. Him having a little bit of support, I think, would have been perfect. But as I say, we know we have the physical Kid Buu Super EZA incoming fairly soon. Well, next week. Which is going to be a massive buff to this team. Because this Buu team, all the units function really well and work really well together as a team. But none of them really give support. So with the current team that we're running, like even literally the team for this video, take off physical Buutenks, put on physical Super EZA Kid Buu, and then this team's going to be crazy. Even like Tech Gohan, right, is going to be able to take advantage of having those extra, the extra support, because Kid Buu, we don't know what his Super EZA is going to look like specifically, but pre-EZA, he supports all allies. So after EZA, he should support all allies as well. Which means that when we have this rotation, if we're running Tech Gohan and then Fat Buu in slot 2, Kid Buu is going to be supporting Tech Gohan, so he's going to look very good. We might die here because we didn't get to super, so we haven't raised our defense at all this turn. Okay, no, fortunately the healing on this team is good enough that we're all good. So 9.8 again. We never managed to get to 10 mil without any support, so that is unfortunate. We get the crit. And then, yeah, I mean, additional would be good for this guy, because getting that extra super and an extra attack, especially if the enemy can be attack lowered, so that extra attack is then being a crit, that would certainly be very useful. But yeah, otherwise I don't see this Buutenks being a super must-run like character. But, you know, it is what it is, right? He can fill that final slot on the team if you need one. Oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that way around, should I? Oh well. I was going to transform Gohan, of course, forgetting that he loses Revival and therefore needs 3 ki to actually super when he's next to Fat Buu. But anyway, that is the physical Buutenks. It's one of those things, I like to be a bit positive, you know, glass half full where possible. I wouldn't say his EZA is terrible. I would say he's runnable. But again, if he's the one having to eat a super, you're probably going to be dying in most of these endgame content scenarios. But he's not the worst EZA in the world, so... You know, some people may be able to find some use for him. Like I say, specifically that Blue Kaioken Goku event, it'll kind of be fun to throw him on the team if we want to do that event with the Buu team. But other than that, nothing too crazy, but nothing terrible. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.